Hi, my name is Derek Weis, and for my final project, I chose to cover the issues that are currently plaguing the prison system and some of the solutions to those issues. So the first prison system was created in ancient Greece, and it was designed to reform people who could not pay fines or their taxes. This system worked well in the beginning, but philosophers quickly found out that that would lead to indefinite prison sentences, which is incredibly unfair, and they decided to impose term limits on these prison sentences. In the Middle Ages, prisons turned into a status symbol. Kings and lords would put their political rivals or people they just simply didn't like in prison to remind them of the power they had. They also used this as a scare tactic for the kingdoms around them, that they could put their people in prison as well and use it as a weapon. Mass incarceration began soon after this because people would find that mass incarceration occurred because people were starting to have to be held while they were awaiting trial. The public noticed that these people, that while they were waiting trial, they would go to trial seemingly better behaved and have better morals and better ethical compass. So mass incarceration was picked up as a regular punishment to teach criminals morals and how to behave in society and benefit society. And this is what leads to the current prison system as it is now. So some of the things that the current prison system has a problem with is budgeting issues. In 2010, the federal prison system went over budget by $5 billion. That money was pulled from a taxpayer fund that was specifically designed for emergencies in case they had to go over budget for something. So regular people paid for it. Most states also have their own issues with budgeting for prisons. On the lower end of the spectrum, Arizona went over its prison budget by about 1% of its budget. On the opposite end of that spectrum, Connecticut went over their budget by almost 35%, which is a huge amount when these budgets are billions of dollars. A lot of the problem with budgeting is the housing of the inmates. In Alabama, they house their prisoners for around $17,000 per year per inmate. In New York State, however, it costs them nearly $60,000 to house their inmates per year. That is a huge difference and huge amount to be paying per person. Recidivism is also a huge issue because it is this cycle where you go into prison and you do your time and you're set free, and then you can't get a job or get proper housing, so you end up committing crimes just to make ends meet, and you end up back in jail, back in prison, and this vicious cycle just repeats itself. In the federal prison system, data has shown that nearly 1 in every 3 prisoners end up arrested, tried, and convicted of a crime and back in prison within 3 years of being released. Once a prisoner gets released, there are a number of issues that they come in contact with. One of the issues is finding a job. Most employers are very reluctant to hire prisoners or convicts because they feel like they're untrustworthy and they simply don't have much of a resume to go off of. Another issue that they're finding is it is pretty common for an inmate to have really struggle finding appropriate housing once they're out. Again, there's no income once you're in jail. So coming out, a lot of landlords won't rent to you. You can't pull a mortgage, anything like that, to get yourself appropriate housing so you can get yourself back on your feet, or housing for your family. Some of the possible solutions to all these issues is reforming the prison system away from punishment and into rehabilitation. Currently, the prison system is strictly there to punish people and not really give a lot back to them, not give them a lot of information on how to better themselves once they get out of prison. So taking taking that perspective and seeing the recidivism rates how they currently are, if we were to take prisons and make them into more of a rehabilitation center rather than a punishment center, prisoners would get something out of it, and they'd be able to learn morals, life skills, things that will help them once they get out of prison and become beneficial to society. Another thing that would really help prisons is creating more work programs. Work programs are incredibly helpful to prisoners who are in, because it gives them something to put on their resume, it gives them job experience, and it definitely helps future employers being able to put down that, hey, I was on the work crew, or I was part of the laundry room team while I was incarcerated, because it shows a level of trust on the prison and for the prisoner. You could also save money by changing how you punish low-level drug offenders, such as misdemeanor crimes. Instead of incarcerating these people, you could put them on house arrest and force them to do Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous and do volunteer work while they're on a hybrid probation or hybrid house arrest. And this would give them the opportunity to get used to their home environment without drugs, without alcohol, and would also help build up their resume. A lot of employers like seeing that they've done volunteer work, or that they're involved in a kind of AA or NA program, benefiting themselves and the others around them. That money saved from changing how we punish the low-level drug offenders can be put back into the prison system. And that money can go to fund better halfway houses for inmates that have just been released, and to better the programs that are currently in place that are effective helping prisoners at this very moment. So these are a few of the solutions. Of course, this problem is vast and it is incredibly complicated, so there are many more other solutions that are possible to be made. And these are the references that I used for my data. And thank you very much.